Why can the electric windows of cars can automatically rise and fall and can't be pulled down by hand? Once something is caught, it will automatically bounce back. How does this work? In fact, the door itself is just a shell. What really makes the glass move up and down is a set of transmission mechanisms hidden inside. The earliest window design was actually very simple. A crank and a set of gears. You shake the crank, and the gears start to rotate, and the glass was pulled up or down. But problems were soon exposed. The glass only has one support point. As long as the friction in the guide rail changes slightly, the glass will be unevenly stressed. It would be stuck, or even tilt, and it can't slide smoothly. So, engineers added two connecting rods under the glass to support the glass simultaneously at multiple positions. The two connecting rods are in the middle and are connected by a pivot. When they expand and contract, they look like a pair of scissors. So it's called a scissor mechanism. The glass is stabilized by 2 points. It's not easy to tilt or stuck because of its stability and reliability. Before the 1990s, the scissor mechanism was almost standard for car windows. Until today, many old cars still use it. However, scissor mechanism also has a significant drawback. When the glass is about to reach the bottom, the force relationship of the mechanism suddenly changes. The window is easy to fall down. To solve this problem, engineers added a spiral spring. When the glass rises, the spring is stretched, helping to share the weight. When the glass goes down, the spring is compressed, which plays a buffering role. In this way, the window won't suddenly fall, and it's easier to lift. The structure is already very mature, but the engineers quickly discovered a more realistic safety issue. If you push the glass hard from outside, this mechanism can be driven in reverse. In other words, it can be pried open. So, engineers added a turbine and worm gear on it. The worm can drive the turbine to rotate, but the turbine is almost impossible to drive the worm. This is self-locking. Normally, when you turn the crank or the motor drives the worm gear, the window can rise and fall normally. But if someone tries to push the glass directly, the force will be transmitted back to the turbine, which directly locks the entire mechanism. Moreover, the turbine and worm gear can amplify the torque. As long as the DC motor is connected, the original manual window can be easily upgraded to electric windows. However, the sliding mechanism of electric windows, with too many contact points, with large friction losses, so modern cars simply do not use connecting rods. They directly use steel wire ropes and pulley systems. You can see that two plastic sliders directly drag the glass. The motor drives the slider through the wire rope, move up and down together. With two vertical guides, the glass only moves in a pure straight line up and down. Because there are very few metal contact points, this structure is quieter, smoother, and more durable. In addition, many electric windows now have anti-pinch function. Once it gets caught, it will retract itself. How does the window know it's caught something? There are actually two common solutions. The first is current ripple detection. When a brush DC motor is rotating, it will produce current fluctuations. When the window rises normally, the current changes very steadily. Once it encounters resistance, the motor load suddenly increases. The current and ripple characteristics change immediately. CU1 detects the abnormality. It immediately issues an instruction to reverse the motor, and the window goes down. The second is the Hall sensor. Install a magnetic ring on the motor shaft, and a Hall sensor is placed nearby. Every time the motor rotates, the Hall sensor will output a series of square waves. When the window encounters an obstacle, the motor load increases, and the speed drops, and the frequency of the Hall signal will also slow down. The ECU analyzes if something is wrong. It will immediately trigger anti-pinch and reverse the motor. So, what you see is just a piece of glass moving up and down, but behind it is the mechanical structure, motor, and a set of safety logic. This is the complete working principle of electric windows. Do you understand now?